WTF Dog Training, where the truth matters. Shock collars. I'm Graham, canine behaviorist and master dog trainer. With over 30 years in dog training and behavior rehabilitation. Are shock collars bad for dogs? What are shock collars, or sometimes called e-collars? They are devices that deliver an electric shock to a dog. In recent years, the use of shock collars has come under scrutiny by animal welfare organizations. Some people believe that shock collar training is cruel and inhumane, while others argue that it is an effective way to train a dog. The shock is not intended to hurt or punish the dog, but simply to get their attention. With proper training, most dogs will quickly learn that certain behaviors result in a brief stimulus, and they will avoid those behaviors as a result. I'm guessing that you're now thinking that I'm not against the use of shock collars. Would I ever recommend a shock collar? Then no, definitely not. In fact, I have signed many petitions on banning them. I have held lectures and conferences on the use of aversive techniques in animal training. I firmly believe that aversive procedures should only be used by qualified individuals who understand both learning theory and applied behavior analysis, and have the skills necessary to use and apply an aversive kind of training correctly. Shock collars fall into the category of aversive, as they deliver an unpleasant stimulus in order to correct or change a behavior. Typically, I would never recommend using them because there are alternatives available. But the main reason, any owners using a shock collar, who hasn't undertaken full training and the understanding theory, would be causing the animal pain and suffering. Can a shock collar cause damage to a dog? When used correctly, shock collars can be an effective tool for training. In saying that, when used incorrectly, they can cause physical and psychological issues. Some physical damage can include burns, tissue damage, and even cardiac issues, along with psychological damage like fear, anxiety, and aggression. Dogs who are routinely shocked may become fearful of people, places, or things that they associate with the shocks. This can lead to aggression, as aggression is a dog's natural behavior instinct to protect itself from what it perceives as a threat. Only qualified trainers or behaviorists should use them. They should never be used as punishment or in a way that causes pain or discomfort to the dog. If you are considering using a shock collar to train your dog, please use a professional who can use it correctly and will not cause any harm to your beloved pet. E-collars, or shock collars, are a type of dog training. They are used to train to stop barking, to stay within certain boundaries, or perform other desired behaviors. While they can be effective in some cases, they can also cause serious harm to dogs if used improperly. Many professional trainers, as I do, discourage using them altogether. Shock collars were first introduced in the 1960s as a way to train hunting dogs. The theory is that the electric shock would startle the dog and correct its behaviors. However, we now know these devices cause pain and fear in dogs, which can lead to further behavioral problems. In fact, studies show that shock collars are ineffective and often makes behavioral problems worse. There are much better, and safer, ways to train your dog. If you're considering using a shock collar on your dog, you might be wondering if they're legal in the United Kingdom. The answer is in England and Scotland. At present there is no legal reason you cannot use e-collars. However, in Wales these devices and derivatives are not legal. That doesn't mean that there aren't any restrictions on their use. If you're found to be causing unnecessary pain and suffering under the 2006 Animal Welfare Act, you can be prosecuted. WTF Dog Training, working in conjunction with the Happy Dog Training Academy. We will never prescribe to any adverse dog training techniques. We would definitely urge you to seek out other training methods. Shock collars should never be used without full training and the understanding of the behavior you're working to modify. As an example, if your dog is reactive, this kind of training will never work and will definitely make your dog more aggressive. It can never work in house training issues. Whereas in some recall problems this kind of training may work, but as I've said, only if used correctly. We never want to stress or cause pain to our pets. Finding the right trainer has to be your goal. WTF Dog Training, answering the subjects others avoid. We're here to give advice, to dispel the myths, legends and bad training flooding the internet. Working with the Happy Dog Training Academy, a not-for-profit organization, all profits go towards training rescue pets. I'm your host Graham. Thank you so much for watching.